latest news, I'm April Cummings. 237 COVID-19 test results in since our last report on Tuesday. No positives for COVID-19 in the results. To date, 90,323 COVID-19 vaccinations have been given in total in the islands. Of these, 47,633, 67% of the estimated population of 71,000, have had at least one dose of a COVID-19 vaccine. Approximately 60% have completed the two-dose course. While there are no new cases for COVID-19 today, there are 18 active cases. 15 of those are asymptomatic, 3 are symptomatic, and 1 is a hospitalization. There are 1,044 people in isolation right now, whether that's quarantining at residence or in a government facility as required by the medical officer of health. Today, a new series of rules go into effect for travel and quarantine regulations. RadioCayman's Dion Anglin has more.
The Control of COVID-19 No. 2 Amendment Regulations 2021 were published in the Gazettes Tuesday. Along with fine-tuning, some definitions outline changes for those traveling into the Cayman Islands. The mandatory quarantine has been reduced to 5 days for verifiably vaccinated incoming travelers. 72-hour pre-arrival PCR testing has been reinstated before exiting quarantine, and unvaccinated travelers will have to complete a 14-day quarantine period. Going forward, all but essential travelers will be required to pay for their own quarantine costs. The regulations define essential travel as returning students traveling for government business, representing the Cayman Islands in a sporting event as part of a national team, as well as parents or caregivers escorting students or athletes, as well as people in certain medical categories. The full details are available at gazettes.gov.ky. Reporting for Radio Cayman News, I'm Dion Anglin.
While the effective date for most of the regulations is today, paying for quarantine goes into effect July 1st. You may have noticed the regulations say that vaccine records must be verifiable.
We want to prevent any risk of fraudulent vaccination certificates from getting into the country because they represent a real public health risk to us.
Chief Medical Officer Dr. John Lee says resolving that issue isn't unique to Cayman, and there are a number of initiatives focused on solutions. As he sees it, there are basically 2 things Cayman needs.
It needs to be able to check people who are arriving. It also needs to give its citizens the evidence so that when they travel, they will also have the evidence to evidence their vaccination status. And we're looking at both sides of that picture. We are asking the UK for some help with some of these issues because there's absolutely no point us reinventing the wheel for them.
While a number of technology-based options are in the works, Dr. Lee says in the short run, local vaccination records can be managed through an existing database, and the NHS has a verification system as well. But looking ahead, we may see things get a little more high-tech.
Whether it be an app or a piece of paper, they essentially will have the same thing, which is a QR code that will have the security built into it. It's nearly a real-time check on that vaccination or PCR test status, which can be verified by anybody who has the appropriate kit on the other side to look at that piece of paper or that app.
Dr. Lee says the world is moving towards certain standards with regards to verifying vaccines, tech-based solutions using private and public keys, which lock the data and prevent forgeries from being presented. Cayman's newest UK rep is getting ready to make the trip across the pond. CIDTV's Donna Bush has more with Dr. Tasha Ebanks-Garcia.
In just over 2 weeks, Dr. Tasha Ebanks-Garcia and her family will leave home for the United Kingdom. Earlier this year, the Caymanian civil servant was appointed representative for the Cayman Islands government's UK office.
I think one of the advantages that I have is that I've spent this past 7+ years working across our government and our public sector. I've had the opportunity through my work with the Governor's Office and the Deputy Governor's Office to deliver projects that were of national importance, that impacted, and require the collaboration of multiple departments and ministries. So I have built relationships, professional relationships across our civil and our public service. And so I think bringing that to the London office is going to make a huge difference and a huge impact. And it'll connect those persons in London, I think, more closely with the Cayman Islands government in the Cayman Islands, because I'm able to be that bridge. And I think because of my wealth of knowledge, having worked in the civil service for many years, I'm able to really bring the heart of the civil service to London and represent not just my country, but my civil service in that space. And then hopefully then, working with the other members of the team in London be able to kind of bring a bit of home there and shake things up a bit and just infuse that passion that we have in the Cayman Islands Civil Service.
Dr. Tasha says she will miss the feel of the hot sun here at home. We invite you to join us on Thursday, July 8th, for the full interview with Dr. Tasha Ebanks-Garcia.
Audio there courtesy of CIG TV.
I'm happy to announce that the government is reopening the registration for the stipend program.
In a promotional video released Tuesday, Tourism Minister the Honorable Kenneth Bryan says this will give displaced tourism workers who missed the previous registration deadline a chance to apply. To qualify, applicants must be Caymanian, a permanent resident, or married to a Caymanian, must have worked in the tourism sector, and must not have applied for the stipend previously.
Remember, if you are already receiving the stipend, there's no need to reapply. This new registration period is only for new persons to join the stipend program.
The Ministry of Tourism is currently assisting more than 3,000 displaced tourism workers through the program at a cost to government of over $5 million a month. The tourism stipend application form is online at stipend.ourcayman.ky. The registration deadline is June 29th. Close to 170 people walking away with prizes from the Ministry of Tourism's Vaccine Challenge draw. The top prize in the giveaway, a $12,000 fully installed 6.24 kilowatt home solar system, donated by Affordable Solar Limited. It was won by Sashina Nemhard Clark. Winners will be able to pick up their prizes at the Government Administration Building lobby Thursday and Friday between 9 a.m. and noon and 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. Be sure to bring your photo ID and your vaccination card. CCC School gets judged as weak in their second inspection since 2019. Radio-Cayman's Corsley Fuller has the details.
The all-year school was inspected back in May 2019 when it netted a weak rating from the team at the Office of Education Standards. Last month, inspectors returned to see what progress had been made. According to the new assessment, the overall performance was again judged to be weak. This was because the school had, quote, not progressed a number of weak areas that were identified in the previous inspection, and as such, strategic planning, the curriculum, and the assessment have not improved. Inspectors also say, quote, of serious concern is the noncompliance with the Cayman Islands Child Protection Policy and regulations. Recommendations in the report include improving leadership by reviewing the leadership structure, improving the quality of self-evaluation, securing a stable annual planning cycle, and providing opportunities for middle leaders to take on additional leadership responsibilities. Other recommendations in the report include improving policies and practice for assessing student learning, improving the curriculum, and increasing the opportunities for students to progress to higher education. The school has been asked to put together an action plan within the next 4 weeks. They will also be re-inspected within 6 months. The school will continue to be inspected on a regular basis until, quote, all aspects of performance are judged at least satisfactory. Reporting for Radio Cayman News, I'm Carsley Fuller.
Aruba's campaign helps raise awareness about vaccinations and raises $4,000 for charity. Radio Cayman's Felicia Rankin-Solins has more.
The hashtag 4,000 Stronger campaign's purpose was to bring attention to the importance of getting vaccinated to Caymanians and residents. To receive the funds, the campaign needed to hit the goal of 1,000 persons vaccinated each week. Rubis reports that they exceeded their goals by more than 3 times their target. From the period of May 11th through June 9th, the campaign resulted in 14,375 Caymanians getting vaccinated. In turn, 4 selected charities, including the National Trust for the Cayman Islands, Cayman Meals on Wheels, Acts of Random Kindness, and NCVO Cayman Islands, each received a $1,000 CI charitable donation. For those who have not yet gotten the vaccine, Rubis continues to encourage vaccination in support of individual safety, as well as for protection against COVID-19 for the overall Cayman community. Visit hsa.ky and gov.ky for information on vaccination schedules. For Radio Cayman News, I'm Felicia Rankin-Solins.
That is your latest local news from Radio Cayman's newsroom. I'm April Cummings.